This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com. And today, as my guest, we have a two-time world champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She's an aspiring fitness model, and she's the daughter of WWE Hall of Famer Tito Santana. Jennifer Haas, how are you doing today? You look amazing.
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. And we first got talking because your mother was initially going to talk to me because I guess she was close friends with Andre the Giant, and obviously she knew some wrestlers. So that didn't quite work out, but I'm glad we have you.
Yeah, so I actually logged on and saw some of the questions, and I was like, oh, I may disappoint your fan base, but I can tell you about her story. She would have way more stories that would interest your fans. I think, like backstage stuff. But how she first got started, my great-grandmother was a huge fan of WWF at the time. And so she had asked my mom to come to a show with her. They had done shows, I guess the TV taping shows were done at the Hamburg Field House, and I'm from Pennsylvania. So she got my mom to go with her, and my mom didn't even want to go. Like, my mom hated wrestling, I guess, so my great-grandmother loved it. So she went with her one day, and her favorite wrestler at the time was Haystacks Calhoun. So he was wrestling there, and my great-grandmother wanted his autograph so bad. Like, that was her main reason of going there. So she's in the stands with my mom, like far back at the end, way up high, and she has no paper to put an autograph on at all. So the only thing she had with her was a Bible. I hope my grandmother doesn't hear this story. But so at the end of the show, she ripped out a paper of her Bible, gave it to my mom, and was like, go stand in line for an autograph. So my mom, little 13-year-old girl, goes down and stands in line for an autograph. And I guess at the time, she said they were like, roped off, so you couldn't go back to the wrestlers. And so my mom's standing in line like, please sign my paper, which is a page of the Bible. And he sees her, and he calls her back, and he's like, yeah, let her come through. So she comes through, and he gives her the autograph, and they get to start talking. And they kind of developed a relationship where he told her about his daughter. She kind of reminded him of his daughter. And I guess he was on the road so often, like he missed his daughter a lot. And she kind of reminded him of, he reminded her, of his own daughter. And so that's how that relationship got started. And so they went to different wrestling matches all the time, and she would always sit with him, like her and my grandmother would sit with Haystacks Calhoun. And she just got to learn the wrestling scene, not as a fan, but more as like the backstage participant of it.
Very interesting. And of course, in those days, it would have been more secretive back there, wouldn't it?
I guess so. I'm not really sure. I wasn't around, but like she had developed really close relationships with a lot of the guys. I know she pretty much grew up there. I think started when she was like 13, she was going there, and that was all the way till like 20 or 21. So a lot of good relationships. I know, like, she'll probably kill me for saying this, but they did ask her to be like the very first woman manager, but she obviously is camera shy, which is why she's not on this interview right now, because she has really good stories, but she wouldn't do it because she was, shy and didn't want to be the center of attention. So she just kind of became friends with them and saw all the back scenes, stuff that isn't out there.
And I guess she met your father from being back there?
Well, they didn't really have a relationship. So, and I didn't really know he was my father, so I did not grow up with him. I actually just found out a few years ago. So, funny story, I guess. Long story short, I was adopted by my father, who married my mom. They met when I was like 3 or 4. So I'm already 3 or 4. He is straight over from England. So harsh accent. And I'm this little dark girl, dark curly hair, super dark skin. And everyone always asks me if I'm Mexican. I'm like, no, I'm English, like have the harshest English accent because that's what I was exposed to. Had to go to speech classes to learn how to talk because I couldn't like do R's or anything like that. And so, I mean, he was my father. That's who I grew up with. And then just kind of an intuition that I had. I was about 16. My mom told me, you know, I was adopted. That wasn't my father. And then she told me this guy was my father. And I had met him and I was just like, I don't look like this guy. I don't have anything in common with this guy, like no features, nothing. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, that's my biological father, I guess. And so my family is so close. Like there's no boundaries. There's no nothing. Like there's no nothing. So we talk about everything. So after that happened, I got introduced to him, and my uncles and I, my 2 older uncles and I, sat down with my mom, and we're like, I don't think this is the guy. You know, I don't think so. And she's like, yeah. And eventually it slipped like one time that it might be Tito. And that happened when I was like maybe 17 or something. And then like, but it was always like a sore subject with her. And so then the next day, like it was all forgotten. Like it never happened. She never said that it could have been him. Like that was it. And so, you know, anytime you asked her about it, it was like, no. And so, you know, life goes on, I guess. And I have 2 kids of my own. And eventually I wanted to kind of know that side biologically, just for, you know, health reasons, things like that. Like the heritage and culture I was never exposed to, that is a part of me. And so when I was like 16, 17, it wasn't really easy to do DNA tests, I guess. Like it wasn't out there like it is now. So about 2 years ago, I finally decided to do the ancestry. And so I do the ancestry, and I have like my ethnicity and like people I'm matched up with. And so I look at it and I'm like Spanish, Mexican, you know, French. And these are all that wouldn't be from her side. And so then again, like it was kind of a running joke, actually, my whole life, like, yeah, Tito's my father, ha ha ha. Like, because my family is just, you know, no boundaries. And so, and my uncles are like, there's no way you're not, you know, Mexican, you know, look at you, you're this little dark girl. So I do it and I show her the results and I'm like, you know, maybe Tito is my father. And she's like, no, he's not. And so I'm like, okay, well, I didn't want to push it with her. So I kept, okay, maybe not. So I called the guy who she said was my father. And I was like, oh, I did this DNA test. Can you take this DNA test? So he also did the ancestry DNA test. It took a while to get his results. We finally get them and we're not matched to each other. So I'm like, oh, there it is. You're not my father, you know? And he still insists too that he was my father. And then still my mom is like, I don't understand. And I'm like, okay, stop. You know, like now we have to start using our brain. And so then I look deeper into, you know, finding Tito's last name. And I look at all of the people that I match with. And it's like all of them, same last name. And I'm like, okay. So she's still denying this. And so I tried to message some of them. And I'm like, oh, are you related to the guy who used to wrestle on our Tito Santana? And a few of them did message me back. And they're like, yes, this is my uncle, or this was my, you know, dad's uncle or dad's brother or something like that. And so I talked to a few of them, like, okay, well, you know, this is it. This is this guy, you know. And so then I finally realized that was my father. And then I wrote him a letter, you know, he's married with 3 boys of his own. He's got a family. It's I wasn't naive to the fact that it could be like a touchy subject. Like hi, after all these years, here I am, you know, like, and I'm your daughter that you never knew about. So, kind of wanted to go about it in a way like I know he's still really popular among the fans that he has, and so I just wanted to, you know, write him a letter and be like, I am your daughter. Here's the evidence. And I was the spitting image of him as a child. So like, I think I included a picture. And I was like, I don't want anything from you. Like, I just want to, you know, get to know you maybe and like learn about the culture, learn about health things for my kids, you know, kids benefits and things like that. So that's how that started. So that was that story. So it's been a recent thing for everyone, I guess.
Well, I do see the resemblance for sure at this age. I haven't seen obviously the children's picture, but how was the contact with him then when you actually finally met him? Because I actually met my real mother too before she passed away, and it was a little bit awkward. I was adopted too.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit awkward because I'm already grown and I wasn't part of his life at all. I don't know. He wasn't exactly 100% receptive at first. I think probably just because it was such a big bombshell, for lack of a better term. Like, here I am. But I was able to then contact my 3 half brothers. We had like a Zoom call and we're able to talk about some things, and it went well, you know, as well as it could go. I'm not trying to shove myself down their throat like, I'm your sister, I'm here, love me. But it would be nice to develop a relationship with them, and I do keep in contact probably with one more than the others. Which is kind of nice. And then I have had conversations through text message and through one phone call with Tito. And it went really well. Like, the conversation went well. There was never a time where he was like, I don't think you're my daughter. So that kind of was beneficial, I guess, to me, because like I had already gone through, like I'd already told him like, I am, this is the DNA proof. But then I went a step further because I know like some of his sons had done the 23andMe, and I'm like, well, I just want to be 100% sure. So I did that. And then it was like, oh, here's your half siblings. And so, but I don't think it was ever a question. It was just new news to everyone and a lot to digest, I guess.
Yeah, I can imagine. So I guess that's why you never went into pro wrestling, even though you have the look for it and you're obviously into martial arts. So you may have been a natural at it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've never tried it yet. But like, as I was searching to figure out, like, is Tito my father? Is he not my father? I kind of looked at, I never really followed his wrestling career that much, but I did look at, you know, recently his life biography and things like that. And, you know, obviously tremendously athletic. He was, probably still is, because I know he still does matches. And then he works at a school as a teacher. And so just, you know, if you just look at the nature-nurture debate, like I wouldn't say super athletic, but I'm athletic. You know, I've been in the gym my whole life, you know, doing jujitsu, that takes a lot. And I mean, I work for the school district too. And so I'm like, look at all of these, you know, similarities that maybe aren't coincidences.
So was there ever a DNA test, or did you guys just kind of accept it as being true?
There wasn't a DNA test between him and I. There was between 2 of his sons. It matched us as half siblings. So
very interesting. So let's get into your martial arts a little bit. Is that finger injury from grappling?
Yeah, it is. I don't even know. Like, it was, I think, last night or the night before. Like, it just kind of happened. And I have a competition coming up next week. And so I'm like, well, I mean, I don't want to get it x-rayed because then in my mind I'll know it's broken. I know it's sprained for sure. So, because I can feel the little knuckle popped out. But it's it is what it is. I think there's always injuries. Like Monday, I will start off good, my body clean, and then by Friday night, like my body is full of bruises all over, like leg bruises, arm bruises. I've only had 2 black eyes because I don't know if everyone is familiar with jiu-jitsu, but that is like strictly the ground game. So there's no punching and kicks allowed. Still, I had 2 black eyes from, various accidents. One of them lasted for like 2 or 3 months, and I thought it was going to be a permanent one, but luckily it went away.
And obviously you did the World Championships and you won in both your weight class and the open weight class. For people that don't know, that's all the weight classes. So you're at a disadvantage there. Obviously, you're not a heavyweight or super heavyweight. So how was that experience and where did those take place?
So that competition was in California. It was in Anaheim. I would say the match in my division was probably the toughest match, especially mentally, because I had gone against this girl at the World Masters prior. I think it was like a month or 2 prior. And I was doing well. Like I started off good. I literally just watched the match. So I remember it last night because I'm trying to go over tape of what I've done wrong in the past. And so I watched it and it started off really good. And then he stops it like halfway through. And I guess I should be more up to date on this, but I guess you're not allowed to wear a tank top underneath your gi. So that was a competition with a gi, which is like a karate uniform-ish. It's a jiu-jitsu gi. And so he stops it and he's like, you got to take off that shirt. And I'm like, what? Like, and I was really self-conscious, like, why did I take off my shirt? So I it's so full there. And they're like on flow grappling. And so like, it's out there. And so I have to take off my gi top, take off my tank top. And I'm like, get this on as fast as I can. And then he starts us again. And literally I like went to hell in a handbasket. Like it was horrible. Like I remember the feeling where like I had a huge adrenaline dump and I felt so weak and I was like, I cannot do anything. And I made mistakes, like, and she was really good too. And so she ended up winning that match. And so then fast forward a few months later, now it's a no-gi. So that's like just rash guard. It's not the actual uniform. It's just whatever clothes, like shorts and a tank top or shorts and a top. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I just remember her being so strong. And I'm like, oh gosh, like, and before the match, I was like not feeling good. Like I was starting to get the flu and I'm like, oh, I should just like not even go over. I was in the hotel room. I'm like, I was napping kind of. And so anyways, I'm like, okay, I'll just do it. What's the worst that can happen? Like I already lost to her. And so I'll probably lose again, And so I go over and we start the match and she goes and like swats me. And it was like she went to put her hand like here to like, but it was like a slap and a scratch and like my whole neck got scratched. And I don't know what happened to me, but we have like, my family has like a switch that clicks. And so like it just clicked. And like that match, I ended up scoring like 11 points, I think. And she had no points. And like, she could not get out from under me. Like I don't know, like it turned green or something. Like I was so much stronger than her. And I was like, I don't know what happened. Like there wasn't much of a difference between me 2 months ago and now maybe. And so it just felt great that day. And then I decided to do the open class. I'm like, why not? I'm already here. And so those matches were kind of easier for me than that first one. Maybe I was like on a mental high or on a roll or something, but they were tough. They were tough. None of them were easy, but I was more relaxed probably than the first match.
And how long have you been training in grappling?
So I've been training about 7 years now. Yeah. So it's been super fun. Like I started training with my uncle. Like I wish, where I grew up in Pennsylvania, it was a pretty small town. There wasn't really There wasn't jujitsu or anything like that, schools out there. I did karate. I made it to brown belt in karate when I was a teenager. And we loved UFC from like the first UFC when like Royce Gracie was like taking on all these enormous guys, if anyone knows jiu-jitsu or if anyone followed Ultimate Fighting Championship when it started. And we watched like every single one of them and we're like, this jiu-jitsu, like this, it was new to us. Like we didn't have an exposure to it there. And we're like, this is what we need. Like this levels the playing field between you and someone bigger than you. And it was just a great martial art and a great skill. And so it was always something I wanted to do, but I didn't have any opportunity to do it in Pennsylvania. And so we moved to Las Vegas in 2004, I believe. But I had a son in 2005. And so some time went on. And then finally, my uncle was like, yeah, my son had started it. I'd watched him win all these medals and he was doing great in it. And I was like, I'm probably too old to do that, but I'd always wanted to do it. And so eventually I talked my uncle into it and we started together and, you know, we both loved it. And I probably will never stop. I'll be like 80 on the mats doing jiu-jitsu, but I don't know.
Did you ever watch wrestling at all? It's quite a bit different, obviously, than UFC, but there is some similarities.
Yeah, no, we were wrestling fans for sure. I scrolled through some of your questions that were on there, and I don't really know a lot about it. Like my uncles and my brother would probably be way better at answering those questions. I loved The Ultimate Warrior when I was younger. But we always had wrestling matches. I would always pretend I was the Fabulous Moolah, if you guys remember her. Like that was me, because I was the girl of the bunch out of 3 older uncles and a younger brother. We had our own wrestling federation in our basement, like belts and everything. Like we had our own names and stuff like that. So like when we were at big events like weddings or family reunions, like my brother and my uncle would break out into like matches. They would smash stuff over each other's head. And so it was, and they always watched it. Like I watched it sometimes, but definitely not as much as them. And so it was definitely a part of our lives from birth. Yeah.
Very interesting. So it's cool that you had that connection, even though you didn't know the actual blood connection to it.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a bunch of people on here that want to know what belt you are. I think you're a brown belt.
I am brown belt. Yeah. So
I'll put this one up now for you.
So yeah, brown belt. I got my brown belt after I won Nogi Worlds. And so then COVID struck. And so there was some competitions. I just didn't compete last year at all. So this will be my first match as a brown belt. So we'll see how it goes next week.
And you are doing this fitness competition, and I have the link where people can vote for you. I didn't know you had kids, but here's a picture of you showing off your abs.
Not really. My brother always calls them flabs because I'm trying. We're all trying to be better than we were, right? But yeah, I can make fun of myself with the best of them. But yeah, I have 2 kids. My daughter's actually 18 now, and my son is 16.
Well, you started young, I guess.
Yeah.
There's a few people asking on here if you're married.
I am not married. I am single, for real single, like not connected and single.
Somebody says he has a new celebrity crush. You're already considered a celebrity.
Oh, celebrity crush. That's funny. I don't know about that, but.
So why don't you tell us, as I said, I put the link in the description where people can vote if they want to vote because you want to win this competition. I think you're number 4 now, maybe a little bit better, but tell us about this competition.
Okay, so this competition started last year. You know how like random ads pop up on your social media? So I think I was scrolling through Instagram or something or Facebook, and it kept popping up. And so I just kept scrolling through. But one day I clicked on it and I filled out, I think it was my name, and I uploaded like 3 pictures because it said 3 pictures. And then I was like, no, like I'm not going to do this. So I clicked off. And then they sent me, like, I think it was like a week later, they're like, you're in this competition, you know, and I'm like, what? Like, I didn't even finish the application. And there's a bio, like a biography where they ask you questions, and I had none of that filled out. I was like, how are they going to put me in this competition when I have nothing filled out, you know? And so then I had to like look at the questions because I hadn't even looked at them. And so I answered the questions and did it. And it's a competition where I made it, I don't even know where I made it to last year, but like ever so often, like they'll drop out, there's different groups and they'll drop out people from the group. So like the top 15 is the next one, I think, will go on. And so if there's more than 15 in the group, which I think there is, like those 5 will then not be in the competition anymore. And then like the following week, then the lowest 5 will not be in it, and so on and so forth. But there's also like so many groups. And so I think if I remember correctly, it was the top 2 of that group where I got dropped out. Like I wasn't top 2 or top 3, maybe, I'm not sure. And so then once top 1 or 2 for each group gets picked, then the groups combine together, and then it like starts over, like now top 10 of this group and things like that. So, I mean, I think it's great. Like, I really wasn't one to ever have a ton of self-confidence or like want my body out there. Like I just wasn't. And so I think now that, I don't know, maybe like I'm getting older and I'm like, I don't really care. Like this is me and I'm trying to be the best version of myself. And if you like it, great. If not, I understand that. So I just try to and be a good role model for other people, but mainly like my daughter, to not ever doubt herself or who she is or where she came from. And so so I entered it again this year, and we'll see how it goes.
And it looks like you've done some modeling. Here you are as a mermaid.
No, those are like all pictures from like my little Samsung Android phone.
Oh, really?
I love to be a model. Like
This phone here.
Yeah, they're basically all selfies, and I don't really know how to edit, so I can't edit out any of my flaws. But maybe one day I'll learn how to do that. I was a model when I was younger, like a little kid. I had done some modeling for different things, and I had always wanted to be like an actress. But then kind of, you know, life takes over, and I just, you know, went to college and things like that. So,
what are your workouts like? Obviously, you're doing BJJ, but are you actually weightlifting too? I imagine you are.
Yeah, so I weightlift every day, at least. Like, I think usually I would take Thursday off, but actually I've watched my body changed mostly a lot. Well, my body changed a lot during quarantine because I was not the girl who sat around and like gained 20 pounds because I couldn't do anything. I got on YouTube and I was doing YouTube videos every day. We have a gym in the garage, and so like my brother and I and my son, we all use that. So I was able to keep it up. And for some reason I like lost a little bit of weight. Like maybe I wasn't eating that much or as much as usual, because I can definitely put it away. But after that, like the gym started opening again. I'm like, oh, I just want to keep going. Like I can finally get better. And then my daughter, she was a gymnast. And so she was like level 10 gymnast, like no body fat, so lean and strong. And then she had a neck injury, which caused her to ultimately stop doing gymnastics and competing. And so she kind of went through a phase where she wasn't in the gym anymore. And now as she's gotten older, I'm like, let's go to the gym together, you know, let's, you know, get in shape. And so now it's kind of like a contest between us two. Like she's way stronger than me for sure. Like she'll text me and she'll like, guess what I squatted? And I'm like, I don't know. And she'll tell me and I'll be like, like my knees can't hold that up. But she'll do like 9 pull-ups in a row and I can't even do like 1 fully extended. And so, you know, I gotta at least put up a good show for a few more years with her before she totally takes over.
Is this another phone picture or was this?
Yeah, no, they're all phone pictures.
Okay.
I have never, like, I haven't had a real camera photography shoot. Like, that's my goal. Like, eventually I want to do that, but like, they're all like phone pictures. So they're probably not the best quality. Some are a little blurry, I think, and most of them are like selfies. During quarantine, I think I became like a selfie queen where I didn't have much to do. Like I probably could have read some books or learned a new language, but I learned a good angle for selfies, I guess. So
Lewis wants to know if you're looking to go top tier BJJ eventually.
I'm not really sure. Like I usually I'm not sure if I understand your question right, but I don't think I'm gonna be like top woman in jiu-jitsu, you know, like I think my age probably prevents that. There's adult categories, and then after you turn 30 there's masters, and I will like always go for the masters division. And so I haven't really, when I was a blue belt I did compete against like local tournaments. I did the adult category and I did really well. Like I finished those girls and I submitted them and got the win. I just I don't know, like I haven't tried the adult division yet. And I don't know, I just kind of stick with the masters, like we'll go with the level that I'm at right now.
Pulsar Lights wants to know if you train gi or no gi. I've seen the pictures of you training gi, but do you also train no gi?
Yeah, gi and no-gi. So no-gi was the no-gi worlds. That was what I won double gold at in December of 19. I prefer no-gi for sure. Like the gi, especially in the summer, like the gi is hot. It's heavy, and no-gi I just feel so much lighter and so much quicker. So I do prefer no-gi, but yeah, we're in the gi all the time.
I hate the gi because you have to keep tucking it in and doing the belt.
Oh yeah. You gotta leave your belts. Like I learned this trick from one of my old teammates. Like you leave your belt not as tied so tight, and then you can like take a break and retie it, you know. So that's your breather time.
Jerry would like to know what gym you train out of.
So we're out of Las Vegas. It's with Fredson Pachow. He is a world champion. He is probably the best coach. I think he's the best. Like the way he teaches, it's awesome. Like the pressure game, you will not find a better pressure game anywhere. And like he can wrist lock you from anywhere there is. So it's in the Southwest Las Vegas. Look at my Instagram. The address is on there. I don't really think there's a name to the gym yet because we just kind of moved pretty recently to that location. But if you're in Vegas, check us out. It'll be fun.
I've been putting up pictures from your Instagram on here for people that want to know. It's JHAA. You know what? I'm just going to copy it and stick it on there.
2 A's. Like people always write it as ass with S's, but it's 2 A's instead of 2 S's.
It's also distracting because you're gorgeous and it's hard to focus. Okay, here we go. It's up on the screen now if people want to look her up. A few people have been asking why you haven't done MMA yet and if you will ever do MMA.
I started jiu-jitsu like in my 30s. And so I think that even, you know, getting this far, I'm proud of myself. But if I was younger, for sure, I would have loved it. But I also, you know, I just did a mitt session the other day with a friend of mine. Like, I think my kicks are really good. Like back in karate, we did kicks a lot. Like I have really good kicks. I've got strong legs, but like the hands and the boxing aspect of it, I can't keep my hands up. Like whether I can punch or not, like someone would probably rearrange my face. And I don't know. I'm not ready for that yet.
We wouldn't want to see that. We'd rather see you in modeling, which is one reason why people should go in the description and click on that. And if they're too lazy to go in the description and they want to just look it up, what's the website to vote for you?
I don't even think they would find me. Like there's so many girls that have entered, but it's Miss Muscle and Fitness. If they look on my Facebook, it's Jennifer Haas. I can repost it, but it's on one of the posts there.
And the link is right in the description of this video, and this video is on Facebook and YouTube right now live. Someone asked earlier about Gracie. You mentioned you liked watching him in UFC. They wanted to know your thoughts on Gracie Jiu-Jitsu overall.
I mean, I think I don't know the history that well. I know a friend of mine had wrote a book about jiu-jitsu. I probably should have read it. But Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is amazing. Like, that's where, that's what you think of. When you think of jiu-jitsu, you think of like Helio and that was my old coach, like his picture was on the wall and things like that. So that's where its roots, I guess, where it came from, in my opinion. So
Walter wants to know if you watch Cobra Kai.
Yes, with my son, I do. I watch Cobra Kai.
Yeah, I've seen the first season. It was pretty good, but I have to watch the other ones. What are your thoughts on it other than that? Is there any favorite episode?
I remember we watched the last season that came out, I think in like a day or two. We kind of binge watched it. And so now we're just kind of thinking like, what are they going to do next? And it's probably going to be like a girl fight maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Triton wants to know if you're going to watch the Conor McGregor fight July 10th, and who do you think is going to win, him or Dustin?
I'm gonna watch it because I usually always watch them. Like with our team, we go watch them. I don't know. I mean, Connor's great, and that crowd gets behind him. And I mean, I've been to some live shows, and the crowd. Like, I'm glad the crowd's back now because the crowd is just, it just adds something to it. I think so. I mean, we just listening to the crowd and like the energy that they create in that arena is amazing. But I was lucky enough. So when I first moved to Vegas, I met someone at my gym, and he had like a podcast show or like blog, and he had asked if I wanted to be his presenter, and I was like, for like UFC type things. And I was like, yes, that would be awesome. And so I was able to interview like Wanderlei Silva and Shogun Rua. And I did some cool interviews. Like I talked to Frank Mir a bunch of times. I actually got to interview Frank Mir prior to UFC 100 with Brock Lesnar. And then I interviewed Robert Drysdale, who was his jiu-jitsu coach. I was actually able to go with Robert to the like post party of that UFC 100. So it was pretty cool, like to get to see some of those guys that was prior to me even starting jiu-jitsu. And so I got to meet people that are like killing it in the industry and like so talented, and their careers have taken off. And I was able to interview those prior to me even being in, the scene, which is really cool.
And I noticed this must be your daughter.
No, that's not my daughter. That actually was. Okay, so that I do. I lied. I had a picture taken with the real camera. This was actually a photo shoot for Sunday Night's Clothing, and they'd asked a few people at the gym if we would model it, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so she was the child model. Her name's Haley. She used to train at the gym I used to train at. So, yeah. I have a fitness account. Like I started with my daughter. We tried to start a fitness account. My daughter, she basically looks like my little twin. So if you have any pictures of those, it's J Haas Fitness. We hardly have any followers, and it just started. But try our hand at something. So
that's on Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay. But the reason I was putting that picture up is obviously you're doing the full splits there. How important is flexibility to grappling, in your opinion?
Oh my gosh, it is so important. For me, it's important. As my game kind of consists about that. I will, if someone's in side control, like I can pull my legs all the way up and like get it behind their head and like knock them down. Like, so it's super valuable for me because some positions that other people would be in, I know like people have put me in banana splits before and I'm like, okay, like it's not, I'm not going to tap from that because I can stretch pretty far. Like I'm pretty flexible. So it's really been invaluable for me. And I've utilized that as much as I can with my ground game.
Slash wants to know if you watched the Mayweather versus Logan Paul fight.
I did watch some of it. Yeah. My son is totally into it. So, and now I follow him on Instagram. So
what are your thoughts on Logan Paul? People like to give him heat, to use a wrestling term, but I mean, that was just an exhibition, but he held his own. Obviously, he's being trained by the best trainers.
Yeah, I guess it's always hard. You're always gonna have haters when you know, like you're known for one thing, and then you kind of try and cross over into something else. But it looks like he's training all the time. Like he's training like a pro athlete now, and I think he did really well. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm not super well versed in boxing, so I don't know. They're probably like boxing professionals out there, like, hey, but I think he did great, and I think he's taking it seriously. It's not really a joke. I don't know. I mean, he's already famous, so he's gonna have a ton of eyes on him all the time. So.
Now, I understand the company I'm working with now that's relaunching in September, World Class Pro Wrestling. They're setting you up with someone to at least try to train in pro wrestling and see how it goes. And if it goes well, actually, I hope that you do some updates for us and actually show how your training goes. And actually, if you do the first session, I'd be interested to talk to you again and hear how it went. But is this something that you are willing to try, maybe to see if you have it in you? I think you're obviously a very good talker. You've got the look. You've got the athletic ability.
Yeah, when you set me up with that guy and I talked to him, I was like super excited. I would love it. I would love to. My kids are like the biggest, fans, but also the biggest like reality blockers to me. And so I come home like, I'm gonna try this wrestling thing out. And my son's like, you're so old. Like, what are you doing? And then my daughter's like, oh, you'll probably get like slammed one time and be done. And I'm like, whatever, like I'm gonna try it, and I think I'm pretty tough. So or tough in my head at least. Like I don't back down from a lot of stuff, and so I think it'll be awesome to try. I don't know what a great actress I'll be. I don't know if I need to act a lot during it, but I think the physical part of it, I should be okay. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, obviously, you already know how to grapple and technical wrestle. It's just a matter of learning how to fall and learning how to run the ropes. You wouldn't need to go off the top rope because you'd be a technician.
Yeah.
And then, who knows? I'll be interested to know. A fan on here was asking if you have a favorite submission.
Probably triangle, because that's what I get into the most, like being flexible. Like I will get that all the time, like triangle, reverse triangle. Like I'm always super active with my legs. I've got a pretty good guard, I would say. And so I just I seem to wrap that up a lot.
Jerry A says you're a natural beauty. Any tips on beauty you'd like to share?
On diet, on beauty, I don't know.
Oh, sorry, diet. Sorry, I guess I misread that. I'm a bit distracted.
I was like, no beauty routine at all, like bar soap and that's it. Diet tips, I would say water, like drinking a gallon of water a day for me is super important. I think that's really good. And then like I'm so focused on drinking, like I don't have that much time to eat horrible. But you know, my coach, we went through this a lot. You know, I had weight trouble where I missed weight with my last team a few times. Like I had done like lightweight and I missed weight. And then I went up to middleweight like a month later and missed weight again. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is horrible. Like my coach wanted to kill me. But so my current coach, like we kind of limited, like carbs, like he said, stop eating carbs after like 6. And I've talked to some trainers at the gym, like, you know, what's good for you, you know, what's bad for you. I got good advice. Like you're doing leg day and that's a heavy lifting day. Like you're expelling a lot of energy. And so eat all your junk food that day, you know, have days where you're committed to a diet and then have your cheat day, but don't let your cheat day become your cheat week or month.
Now, someone brings up that Sakuraba, the Japanese pro wrestler, barely even touched the ropes. So he has a point that if you're going to have an MMA style gimmick, you wouldn't need to do as much of the pro wrestling. And Brian says you have a lot of charisma. So someone else wanted to know, Brian said, would you be willing to use the Santana name if you went into wrestling?
Yeah, that was a question I had. I was like, sure. I mean, I'm kind of a blank slate right now. So I'm sure I would be molded into what would work and what they would need and what I would fit properly with. So, I mean, I guess I'm open to pretty much anything right now. I'm open to trying it out and we'll see where it goes.
Well, I'm curious to see where it goes too, because I think you had a lot of potential. I don't know how closely you follow wrestling, but Michael wants to know if you did get into wrestling, who could you see yourself being a dream opponent? I would say Ronda Rousey might be one of the ones.
Oh, is she still in WWE right now?
Yeah. Well, no, she's off because she's pregnant, but she's still under contract. She will have to go back to fulfill her contract.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I had never grappled with her or anything like that, but I know like her specialty is the arm bars, so that'd be I don't know if I'm on that level, but you know, yeah, we'll see. But I would think like also like when someone had asked me about the Santana name, I guess they were like, well, you'd be second generation, so I guess there's always that like second generation. I know like Ric Flair has a daughter, and I don't think like I'm that level or anything like that, but she's the only one I know about. Like she's super popular. So I don't follow it all that well. Like I should.
It's pretty bad these days. You'd be better off actually, in all honesty, watching Tito's matches, because people will want to see you do his moves. Like his flying burrito, I think he called it. Have you ever seen him do that?
But I will check.
That's funny. Well, I guarantee you they're going to want
my mouth, but like I haven't. I just remember when I was younger, like my uncle used to give me this flying airplane spin, and I don't know whose move that was, but we would always laugh at that. That was my favorite move to get done to me. Now I would probably, like at this age, probably throw up my dinner if it happened. But
yeah, did you ever like watch him when you were younger?
Not really. I don't recall. Yeah, I don't recall. Like maybe I did, but no.
You actually have more charisma than he does. He was a good wrestler, but I think you would be popular like talking more than him, because he was not known for being a phenomenal talker.
Oh, I don't really think I am that much either. Like I'll probably count how many times I said and rolled my eyes or stuttered after this is over to see, because that's always a good thing to gauge on how awful I did. But thank you.
As far as your lifts in the gym, people always like to know your max, bench press, deadlift, and squat, if you've ever even done deadlifts heavy.
So I usually don't do deadlifts heavy. Like when I do straight deadlifts, we have preset bars at the gym, and I'll just grab like the heaviest preset bar, which is 110, and I'll do that for straight leg deadlifts. Squats, it's embarrassing. Like it really is embarrassing for me to squat. I will squat, I don't even like a 45 on each side, but it's not all the way down. Like it shouldn't even count as a squat, I don't think. Like to get a really good squat, like below knee level is probably like 95 maybe. I'm just not a squatter, like I never have been. And then bench, I stopped doing actual bench because my shoulder was like hurting, and my uncle actually like tore his rotator cuff doing bench one day. But I can do the 50s on bench dumbbells, so that's 100.
That's pretty good. I'm not going to ask you your weight, but you don't seem that heavy. So compared to, by the way, there's a lot of people on here saying you look young, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to go with that.
As far as favorite MMA female fighters, do you have some favorites you could share with us?
Favorite female fighters. I mean, I've trained with Roxy before. I know a lot of people know her. You know, I was a fan of Ronda Rousey. I was a big fan. I actually probably Holly Holm is actually probably my favorite right now. Yeah.
And as far as males, do you have any?
I just had a friend that won his match in PFL. So Corey Hendricks, so happy for you. Congratulations. It's hard. Like, you like when you know some of them, it's hard to like, I don't know. It comes across as different. Like, I don't want to be like a fan. I'd rather like get to know them. So, but some of their careers, like Connor, like who doesn't love him, you know?
Do you ever use any intimidation tactics in grappling?
No. Like I am probably one of the nicest grapplers. I know, funny story, my last match for the open weight, we were fighting, and I like think I tripped on her or something, and like I was like, I'm so sorry. Like during the match, you're not supposed to talk, and she's like, it's okay. And you know, we were just kind of like, I'm like, oh good, like I don't want to really hurt you, you know. Like I've gotten business done where I've like trampled someone's face, but normally I'm like a very nice grappler, like especially in the gym. Like I don't want anyone to be hurt. Like I'm a brown belt now, like I should not be hurting anyone. Like I'm not gonna, you know, crank anything to hurt you. I think that, I don't know, I come at it as a different, sometimes people say like I'm too nice in the gym, but I mean I do have a switch I can turn on. I just would rather not, probably.
How is your body holding up from grappling for 7 years?
My body's okay. Like I was in a car accident 2 years ago, which kind of did some damage, and I had to take a lot of time off. I didn't compete for a while, and so competing again for the first time after that, I was like, oh my gosh, like it was more nerve and mental than anything. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, like what's gonna happen? Like is my back messed up? Is my neck gonna hold up? And that caused like a lot of pain, and I still have some issues with it, but I kind of tried to work around it. Like I know my body and I know what I can and can take, and so I don't put my self in those positions that I think I could get in trouble with. Or like if I am and I can't get out, like I have no problem tapping in the gym. I'm like, you got me, you know, like I'm not gonna risk my health or, you know, anything like that. So
what's your opinion on people that don't want to tap out in the gym? Like not necessarily from an arm bar, but from like a choke. Because for instance, like I don't really care about passing out, and sometimes people's arms will get tired if they have you in a chokehold. And if you're preparing for a competition, you want to kind of see how far you could go and if you could escape. But some people are dead against that, and they don't want to see that in their training gyms. But what's your opinion?
Well, I mean, that's great in my training gym. I've seen my coach put out people doing technique, like not on purpose, but he was holding something and explaining it. And numerous times people have passed out. And so passing out is not really frowned upon in our gym, but if I've had numerous people in chokes where they were like red and gargly, and I'm like, I just let it go. I'm like, okay, good for you. Like I do not want to make anyone pass out, especially in practice. Like I don't have the heart to do it. So I won't be responsible for doing that. And as far as me getting in chokes, like I'll try and fight a little, but I mean, my goal isn't to pass out in practice. So I probably don't hold it as much as some other people.
I'm just noticing this picture. You won this tournament here. Was this the American National Championships?
Yeah, so that was the last time I competed in nationals. That was 4 years ago now. So, and that I won my division, and then this was the open class. So that was all the weight classes.
Very good. And again, I'll tell people that they can vote for you in the description. We all want you to win. As the daughter, even though you didn't grow up with them, the daughter of Tito. The link is in the description. And I did put up your Instagram earlier, but maybe you could tell us your Instagram and Facebook again.
So my Facebook is just my name, Jennifer Haas, and my Instagram is jhaas1228.
And I am going to add that to the description as well later on.
Thank you for voting for me.
Yeah, I voted for you. Yeah, I actually voted for you too. I want you to win.
Thanks.
So you told me you're not sure when the deadline is for the end of this competition, right?
Yeah, I actually have no idea when it is. I just know like next week, I think the bottom 5 of my group gets dropped out. So, and then it takes it's a few months, I think. Like it goes pretty long.
Well, if you keep in the competition, we'll have you on again to remind people. And I hope that, I don't know, have you scheduled your first pro wrestling training yet?
I have. It's actually Monday. So I will be super excited for that. I don't think I have a time yet, but we have a day. So it's going to be Monday. Like he actually he asked if I could go the day, I think it was yesterday. And he was like, is today too short of notice? I'm like, oh yeah, probably today is too short, but Monday's the plan for now. So
well, send some pictures and give me an update. Do a little cell phone video update.
Okay.
And send it to me and remind people to vote for you, and I'll post that update for people on this channel, because I think it would be cool if we could actually get the progress of your training on this channel, and then also get your first match. Maybe you'll hate it. Maybe you won't like it.
Maybe it'll hate me. They'll be like, no, we have no room for this chick. Like, keep moving. We'll see.
So for BJJ, how many days a week are you training right now?
So usually 5 days a week. Like, some days it's Monday through Friday. Some days I'll do Saturday and take 1 day off. But I've been pretty good like this week and I work for the school district, so I'm off for the summer. So it's great. And usually like Monday, Tuesday, like it's the beginning of the week, I have a good Sunday rest and I can do like 2 a day. So I'll do 4 sessions, Monday, Tuesday combined. And then like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'll do 1 each. Maybe I'll take a day off, but then I'll hit Saturday. So, and I'm going to start an all girls class. Finally, we got it, up and running, but that'll start in July at my gym. So if there's any girls who want to learn jiu-jitsu or self-defense, stop in and check it out.
Well, this girl would. My police dog. She's wearing her police outfit here, joining me. I know you have a much bigger dog than I do.
Yeah, my brother's dog was around here. Like it's probably he's a toy poodle, kind of. It looks similar to yours, but kind of white. So yeah, but my dog is huge. He's like 115 pounds. So
yeah, so between that and that dog, if anyone messes with you when you're going around Las Vegas, you're not going to have too many issues.
Yeah.
Although someone did, Soul Con 86 wants to know if you have any stalker stories.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, not stalker stories, but I actually was watching an interview that you did with, oh gosh, I think her name was like Goldilocks or something. Uh,
Yeah.
she had like a I was laughing, like I was actually getting my eyelashes done and I was laughing out loud. And one of her stories was crazy, but probably the funniest, I don't really know about stalker stories, but I did get propositioned on, I think it was Instagram, to be like a sugar baby. And they're like, you'll get an allowance and all this. And I'm like, joke's on you. I'm so old, like not really a baby anymore. But I just thought it was, I didn't respond, but I thought it was funny. So usually I don't get too many creeper vibes, I guess, or I try to kind of avoid them. But there has been a few. There has been a few messages where I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is one to laugh at for a while.
There's been a few incidents in recent years with WWE divas getting stalkers, and I actually even had a stalker like in 2011. Crazy enough, I had to get a restraining order.
Oh,
It
wow.
happens in wrestling, so it's a good thing you're trained.
Yeah, I'll be a expert on restraining orders.
Now, my last question has to do with Andre the Giant. I know you never met him, but your mom knew him. There has been some fans on here that asked earlier, did she ever tell you an Andre the Giant story or anything that you could share with us?
Yeah, she has a ton of Andre the Giant stories. I know one of my I have two of them. So one of my favorites that she would always tell is when you're at home, like back then there was no cell phones or anything. There's like one house phone for the whole house. And so I know like the phone rang one day and it was like super late, like 2, 3 a.m. And her dad, my grandfather, like got up, goes to the phone, and he was like so pissed. Like it was 2, 3 a.m. Someone was calling and he's like, yeah, what do you want? Who is this? And he's like, Andre. And he's like, is Debbie there? And he's like, oh my gosh. And he like, his whole tone changed. He's like, oh my gosh, like it's Andre the Giant. Like who's going to give him attitude? And so that's always been a good story in my family. And then another one, she had, I believe it was when he was wrestling in New York, maybe probably at Madison Square for something. And they left. And so they're out in the limo waiting to leave. Like they're in the back seat and all these people were rushing up because they knew Andre was in the limo. And so they all wanted an autograph, and, so she's like, open the window, like give him some autographs. And so he did. And so they're like throwing, like she said, there was massive amounts of people like throwing their little books in to get, Andre's signature. And so he was like, open your side of the window and sign, he's like, just sign Mrs. Giant. And so she's like, okay. And so like she opened her side of the window and she starts like signing autographs and she's like, everyone's yelling like Mrs. Giant, Mrs. Giant, Mrs. Giant. And so there's probably some autographs around that say Mrs. Giant, and that's my mom's autograph. So
That's hilarious. Well, your dad has something in common with Andre. I think Andre had a daughter too that never met her, and now she does autograph circuits here and there, and she's huge.
Oh, really? That's
yeah. Awesome. I don't know if you ever saw her, but yeah. Well, thanks a lot for talking to us, and I'm really glad that I met you because I think you would be a great pro wrestler, and I'm very curious to hear how your training session goes.
Yeah, I'll definitely take a video and let you know. Like, hopefully I can walk the next day. I know they take pretty hard falls, so we'll see.
Yeah, it depends what kind of ring it is. But I understand you must have done some break falling for BJJ, I would imagine, right? It's not as bad as judo, but there's some.
Yeah, and my coach he does some judo, so it's not my favorite part of it, I have to be honest. But yeah, break falls definitely part of it. But hopefully they'll teach me, like the proper way. Start at the very beginning. So
Well, the good thing about pro wrestling, I know there is some money in grappling these days, but at least once you become a pro wrestler, you can actually make money at it. You're not just beating your body up for
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, fans. Well, everyone watching this, please do Jennifer a favor and go into the description, click the link to vote for her. We all want her to win. She's going to be the wrestling representative in this competition. To be, I guess, what do you win anyways? A spread in this magazine?
Yeah, so if you win, you get $20,000 for like the cause that you picked, and you get to be on the cover of the magazine. So I'm not sure about like I don't know how far I'll get, but like it's good exposure just to be in the competition. So it's a good opportunity.
Do you know Tito's catchphrase, by the way?
Is it Arriba?
Yes.
I know some stuff, yeah.
Could you do it? Yeah, could you do it?
Like I don't have a good accent, so it's like a very, very poor rendition of it. I wouldn't do it justice at all. So
Oh, come on, we're putting you on the spot.
I can't roll an R. I can't do anything. I would just be like, Arriba.
Well, there you go. The fans have been asking for it. They got it. So I'll let you close this off however you want, whatever you want to tell the people. You've actually had a lot of people watch this so far, and I'm sure there'll be more as time goes on. So I'll let you say whatever you want to close it off.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for having me on, first of all, being receptive to me. I know that a lot of the questions prior to me logging on and the show starting were like about wrestling, and I don't have all those answers. So sorry to disappoint. I did see there was like one thumbs down prior to the interview. I'm like, oh, there's going to be so many more. Like, this is not.
Those are channel haters. They're not for you. There's always going to be channel haters. So don't take that as you.
Sentence first, right before you thumbs down it. But then I was like, I'll just give my story, get a chance to know me, and hopefully it works out. But I really appreciate the time, and I definitely look forward to doing the wrestling next week. So see how it goes.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you